G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm down the south coast and I'm just on a track, a 12-kilometre track that takes me along the banks, the eastern banks of St George's Basin. So that's St George's Basin out there. As you can see, the sun's coming out, the water is flat, it's just absolutely glorious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the other side of St George's Basin shortly. I'm going to go to Green Patch first, but I'm going to go on the other side to Palm Beach at Sanctuary Point and go and visit the beach that I used to go to when I was 11 years old, and I'd be coming down here with my auntie Frida, my cousin Anna, for annual holidays. My parents worked 7 days a week, and I've basically never been on holidays with both of my parents. Growing up in the 60s, young people generally, especially of migrant families, didn't really go on holidays unless, of course, their parents were working as employees and took annual leave every now and then. But my parents were in businesses, they were entrepreneurs, and they had a responsibility and an accountability to be in that business for most of the time, and really couldn't afford to take the time off. So I used to come here to St George's Basin. I'd go fishing, I'd go water skiing, we'd eat, we'd drink, we'd swim all day, spend all day at the beach, sunbathing, talking, listening to music, and basically preparing the next meal. So the whole day had a beautiful family atmosphere, beautiful cycle, and we'd meet lots of people and make lots of friends, and that's some fond memories that have come flooding back. And this track here, when I was a little bit older and I was driving, my Uncle George had a four-wheel drive, a small four-wheel drive, a Daihatsu four-wheel drive. And I remember driving along this track here, but it was much smaller and a dirt track, much rougher than what you see here. And I would drive all the way along this track, and it would take us to the Sussex Inlet channel, really close to where the Sussex Inlet meets the ocean. So at the heads, the opening of Sussex Inlet, and Sussex Inlet feeds St George's Basin. So we'd go up there with the boat, but I also would get there with the car, and I remember how beautiful it was. And I remember once taking my wife for a boat ride all the way up to the top of Sussex Inlet near the mouth, and I've got a photo at home, and I remember that day. It was just a wonderful time to be together. I would have been probably 22 when I'd come here and spent a weekend up here, and it was just great. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is go through another book summary as we're driving along this 12-kilometre track, heading back up to the main road, and then hopefully going to Green Patch, and then I'll go back to Hyams Beach and get some photos now that the rain has stopped. The book summary that I'm going to go through today is entitled How Will You Measure Your Life? And it's a book authored by Clayton Christensen, and it's a book that basically poses some questions for each and every one of us in terms of, we're given a gift of life. We're given a gift of a lifetime. We don't know how long that lifetime is, but the big question is, we're given this gift, what are you going to do about your lifetime, and how will you measure your lifetime to know whether or not you've done the most with it and you've achieved your dreams and you're satisfied with your contribution and how you've used this wonderful resource, this invitation to express creation, to be part of God's ultimate act of love. So the author goes on to talk about it in an interesting way, and he says that many people have vivid, powerful dreams when they are young, but sadly these dreams fade away over time for many, and eventually what happens to most of us, to many of us, we end up convincing ourselves convincing ourselves that these dreams, these vivid, powerful, beautiful dreams that we had, these colourful dreams, this awesome account that we visualise so beautifully as young people, we get to a point in our lives where we accept that it's not realistic to do something that we truly love for living, and we just pick jobs for the wrong reasons, and settle for second best. So what the author here is saying and trying to raise with us is that something happens along the way and we get lost and we fall out of love with our dreams, with our desires, and we end up doing jobs, we end up being with people that we really don't want to spend all that much time with, but we just do it for whatever reason, and that ends up, I guess, leading us to not being fulfilled and getting to an old age and just saying, wow, if I had my life again, I would have done A, B and C, and I would have done this, and I would have done that, and I would have not done this, and I would have not done that. But the author here tries to stimulate us and calls us to action, to not wait until the end of our lives to do the things that we really want to do, but to do it now, to find a way to do it now and to fit it in to our current life, knowing that we can do what we're currently doing plus all the other things as well. So it's not something which is impossible. And I remember when I was a young parent going to a school presentation night at the end of the year, where we had a very senior VIP talk to all the girls, and her call to action to all the girls, the lady's actually our governor, our New South Wales governor now. I forget her name, it'll come to me. Her surname starts with B. But anyway, her call to action to all the girls was, you can do all the things that you want, and you can have a career, and you can have children at the same time, but don't forget to have a family, don't forget to have children, was her message. So she became the first female High Court judge, Beasley, I think her name is, Ms. Beasley, and she became a High Court judge, and her message to the young girls at Abbotsleigh was to have dreams, to do things, and to do as much as you can. Don't wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time will never eventuate. Just do it at the first opportunity, and find a way for it to fit into your schedule. And what you'll do is you'll become more effective at time management, and you won't waste as much time, because the only reason we waste time is because we do things just to fill up the time, because we've got nothing else of high priority to do. But if you've got 2 or 3 things which are really important, what this book author says is that basically you will find a way to get them all done, because you'll prioritize them and you will be more effective with your time management and wasting less time. So a powerful message. So the author here then goes on to say that we need to be aware and to manage the hygiene factors and address the various things such as status, compensation, security, work conditions, and to put them into balance, and to understand that we also have motivators. Understand what your motivators are to do what you're doing. Are you looking for challenging work? Are you looking for recognition? Are you looking for responsibility? Are you looking for personal growth? Are we looking to make a contribution which will lead to growth and development? Now, we need to get it clear in our mind. We need to have, and we need to balance our hygiene factors and motivation in order to deliver satisfaction to us. Because in our lives, each and every one of us, according to the author, need to have milestone achievements, things that we do at certain stages of our life that will help us springboard to steps, to act as stepping stones for other steps and other milestones in our lives. And the more you leave something for later, the more you stop following your dreams, the further those dreams are going to go and be in your life. So the author says that you must not, under any circumstance, hold back, because holding back will have an exponential impact on your growth and development. Because if you miss the time, the right time, or the best time, or the earliest time to develop a particular skill, a particular capability, then it gets harder and harder the later you leave it. So basically, the author is calling us to action, to bite off big chunks and then to chew as rapidly and as effectively as we can, to break it up and to mash it up into small enough bits so that we can swallow it before we take another big bite at life and work with it to get us to the next level. So the author goes on to say that all the things we do, we need to make sure that we have rewarding relationships with the people around us, because these things give us our mojo. These things make us feel alive. Having rewarding relationships, raising children, succeeding in our career, all of these things need to happen. And guess what? A lot of these things happen at the same time. They happen in parallel, because round about the age of your mid-20s to your mid-40s is the sweet spot in your life. It's a time that you're going to hopefully meet your partner, get married, start your family, raise your children. You'll be kicking goals in your career. So it all happens within that sweet spot. It doesn't happen sequentially, but it happens, let me just hang a right here. It happens in parallel, and we need to appreciate and understand that, and to know that it can happen in parallel. You don't need to do it step by step. You don't need to wait for things to happen. And the big mistake that a lot of people make is they wait for the right time, they wait for the right partner, they wait for the right career opportunity. But what we've learned, what we know, is that these things don't necessarily happen, and they're not waiting for you. You need to address it and to embrace it, to grab it with both hands, all 10 fingers, both arms, and squeeze it, hold it tight, and bring it close to your body. And we also need to be able to contribute to our families. So, as I said, in our sweet spot is a time when we've got our parents. Cave Beach Road. I've never been to Cave Beach. Let's go along this road and check it out. I don't think I've been to Cave Beach. But what the author is saying is that in that sweet spot, we've got so many people to work with, to interface with, to satisfy. We've got our boss, our wife, our children, our spouse, our partner, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our uncles, our aunts, our friends. There are just so many things happening in parallel at the same time during those 20 years from 25 to 45. And if you make a mistake, if you stuff up during those important years, it can actually destroy your whole life. And a lot of people who have issues along that, within that sweet spot, end up, being very, very disappointed with life, and basically find it very, very hard to make their way back from there. So the author goes on to say that our resources are limited and our goals are constantly competing against each other. As we said, we've got so many stakeholders that we're trying to please. We've got so many things to do and our resources are limited. But we're going to try and do it all without the wheels falling off and making a mess, a complete and utter mess of our lives. People get sucked into putting all their effort into things that are going to generate immediate results, and that will only work to a certain extent, because you can't really do that with children, you can't really do that with your partner. You need to be investing in their emotional bank account, an investment that'll take years and will generate fruit many years into the future. So the relationships with family and friends, according to this author, are the things that yield the greatest fruit and the greatest return on our investments. So I guess, once again, the key message is to be discerning, to be aware of, and to be accepting of what's happening in our lives. And what's happening in our lives is happening in the lives of all of those around us as well. It's all happening in parallel. So if we think our life is challenging, well, guess what? The life of our boss, the life of our brother and sister, parents, grandparents, everybody around us have their own issues and challenges that they're dealing with. And for that reason, we need to be very, very effective with our time use and the things that we do. And they say it's more important to be effective than to be efficient, because if you try to be too efficient with everything, sooner or later the wheels will start falling off. You need to be effective in the relationship with your partner. You need to be effective in the relationship with your children, with your work, with all of those things. And after you become effective, after you've invested in becoming effective, then what you can do is you can invest after that in becoming efficient. As you can see, we've got a kangaroo on the road just in front of us, so I'll slow down to show him off to everybody. So the important message is that we learn to become efficient, but only after we become effective. The mistake that most people make in their lives is they try to become efficient too early and not become effective. And by becoming efficient or trying to become efficient, you don't invest enough. You don't work hard enough to make things happen. And what eventually happens is that if you don't do the right amount of work initially, sooner or later things will start showing the effects of that lack of investment, and you'll probably have an issue, a further issue. Anyway, I'll try and go slowly so this kangaroo can jump away. I don't want to startle it. I'll just go past really slowly. But there you go. What a wonderful surprise. I love coming down here. There we go. Now we're sitting in front of my car. How funny is that? So I'll continue vlogging here because it's a beautiful sight. So what we're saying here is we need to be effective rather than efficient, and we need to have our right priorities in order to deal with our problems. Because unless we've got the right priorities, and that's a female kangaroo in front. It's got a little Joey in its pouch. I don't know if you can see low down there, but it does have a pouch. I'll just overtake it. I'll just drive past it, and because I've got a car behind me who wants to take some photos, so I'll let them take some photos. I'll just get past the kangaroo without startling it. Yep, it's still there. So I can drive off knowing that the kangaroo is safe, and we can come back later on at some point, and hopefully we'll be still on the road. So the author then goes on to say something else which is really powerful, and it's something that I guess that we're all remiss at, because a lot of us try to protect our children, to protect our children from the harm and disappointments in life. But the author here challenges us and tells us that what we really need to do is we need to get our children life fit. We need to generate and help them generate the right skills to help them deal with the many issues and problems that are going to come their way. We need to make them capable. We need to give them the right maps to be able to traverse the various terrains that they are going to experience in life, and to be an example to them, and to also provide warnings to them through other people's example in terms of what to do and what not to do. Apparently at Cave Beach they've got campsites, so I won't go any further that way because that's not going to take me anywhere. So let's head back. I'm not going to get out of the car because, as you can see, it's still very wet here. But we need to, as the author says, we need to learn to be prepared and to consider and help our children understand and have mind maps and brain maps to help them see, look into the future and try and identify the first, second and third level consequences of their actions. When my girls went to Abbottsley, the headmistress, Mrs. Wilden, would always say to the girls and encourage the girls to ask themselves empowering questions in terms of, you know, what consequences would their actions lead to? You know, would they lead to somebody feeling bad? Would it improve themselves? Would it improve the reputation of their school, their parents? So as we say here, we need to think a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, because as we say, everything we do impacts in one shape or form the lives of other people around us, and some thought needs to go into that. So, and at the end of the day, as we say, and as Marie Forleo says, every single thing in our lives is figure-outable. So if you have that mental map in your head, that regardless of what happens to you, you're going to work it out, you're going to figure it out, it's important to remember that. So I've got the kangaroo here in front of me still, standing in the rain. So I'll finish off the vlog. So we need to live as today matters, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So what the author here is reminding us is that we need to make the most of what we have while we have it, and to live as if this moment really matters. Just like I say to people when I hug them, I say, hug me back as if you really mean it. Do whatever you do as if you really mean it, and as if it really matters, because by doing it like that, you're living the best version of your life. Anyway, I'll start driving off again because this car behind me is coming up behind me, and I'm sure that they want to see the kangaroo as well. Nope, the kangaroo just wants to come towards me. Right, I'll just go past and I'll just say hello, making sure we don't run over it. How beautiful. How absolutely beautiful. Push. Push on that. Push. Alright, she's heading back now. The other car behind me is having a turn to have a look at that beautiful kangaroo on the road. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we got to see a kangaroo eye to eye. I'll go over to Soldiers to Sanctuary Point now, which is up here at St George's Basin, and there's always lots of kangaroos there, and I hope to take some photos and video that I can share with my granddaughters and anybody else who loves nature. So the last point I want to make is a quote from a wonderful, high-profile, very successful NBA basketball coach in America. His name is John Wooden, and he says, at the end of the day, in your life, you're not going to be judged for what you have done in your life, but what you need to understand and to consider is that society, your parents, your family, everybody around you will judge you on what you should have achieved in your life, given your skills, given your abilities, your capabilities, the network of people around you, the investment in time and effort of those around you, the opportunities that people helped present to you and offer you. At the end of the day, you're going to be negatively judged on the underperformance of your potential. And we need to understand this, and we need to have our children and grandchildren and friends and family understand that people aren't going to judge you for what you do, but they're going to judge you for what you haven't done and how you've underperformed your abilities and capabilities. So if you're somebody who has some tremendous skills and you don't use those skills to serve God, to serve your community, then it's been a waste. It's been a waste of that gift. So make the most of what you've got available to you, is the message from the author, from this book, and to feel honoured to have been able to live in this time and space, and to be part of God's creation, and to be one with your family, one with God, and to be able to experience and to offer unconditional love to all of those who you come into contact with. Take care on this wet and sodden Sunday down here on the south coast, down here at Jervis Bay, where I am at the moment. And as I said, I'm going to head now to Sanctuary Point. I'm going to swing past my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, who lives down here at Sanctuary Point, and say hello, and then head back to Sydney slowly but surely and enjoy the rest of this journey, hopefully bringing another vlog or two to you. Take care everybody, yasas, and bye for now from Jim on Jim's 5am Club. Yasas, cheerio.